This is your turn number 2. So we need to get one of these equations to have a variable by itself on one side. So neither of them do. So we want to look at the one that's easiest to do. If you look at the first equation, getting it in slope-intercept form is going to cause some fractions. So eventually we'll have to divide by a -3. And -24 is divisible by -3, but 2 isn't. So that's going to give us a fraction. So we want to avoid solving for y in the first equation. Solving for y in the second equation also gives us problems because when we divide by 6, 18 is divisible by 6, but you got to remember that there's a 1 here, and we would have to do 1 divided by 6 as well, and that will give us a fraction. So it doesn't look like solving for y is a good idea. So solving for x is going to be our next option. And looking at the two equations, it's way easier to get this x by itself since it's just a 1x. Up here it's a 2x, so we'd have to divide by 2. And again, dividing 3 by 2 will give us a fraction. -24 divided by 2 wouldn't, but we would get a fraction here. So let's take our second equation and get y by itself. So again, I'm going to number these equations. And so we're going to take equation number 2 over here, which is x plus 6y is equal to 18, and we're going to get the x by itself. So since I want x by itself, I need to get rid of everything else on that side with it. So I need to get rid of this 6y. So to get rid of 6y, we're going to subtract 6y from both sides. That causes the 6y to zero out on the left side, leaving us with just an x is equal to. These two terms are not like terms, so we can't combine them, so we just write them side by side. So -6y plus 18. Now that's our equation number 2, and it has x all by itself. So now we can substitute this expression in for x anywhere we want. So we want to combine it with the first equation. This is the second equation, so we don't want to put it back into itself. So we're going to take this expression and substitute it in for x into the first equation, because x is equal to this expression. So anywhere I see x, I can replace it with this expression. So we're going to take equation number 1 and rewrite it, but instead of x, we're going to write that expression. So it's 2, and then instead of x, -6y plus 18 minus 3y is equal to -24. Now by combining those equations, we can see we have an equation that has only one variable. That variable is y. So now we need to finish solving. Don't forget to distribute because it's 2 times x, and x is now 2 terms. So we have to double both of those terms. So 2 times -6y is -12y, and 2 times 18 is +36, and then we still have that -3y on the outside is equal to -24. Now we do have two like terms on the same side. We've got this -12y and a -3y, so be careful. Make sure you're looking at the sign of the term. So we need to combine them since they're on the same side. We're just adding them together. So what's -12y plus a -3y? That would be a -15y. And then we still have +36 is equal to -24. Now it's just a simple equation we can finish solving. So we want to get the term with the variable by itself, so get rid of everything else. So that means we need to subtract 36 from both sides, and that causes it to zero out on the left side. And then be careful with your negatives here. And -24 minus 36 is a -60 is equal to -15y. And then our final step is to divide by -15, and we get y is equal to a +4. Box that up. So now we know that y is equal to 4. Now we need to solve for the second variable. So we're going to go back to our original equations and pick either one to plug in y and figure out what x is. Because remember, it doesn't matter which one you choose because it should be the same in both. You can always choose either one, but sometimes it's easier to choose one over the other. So I'm actually going to choose equation number 2. So it's 1x plus 6 instead of y, we're going to put 4 because we know that's what y is equal to 18. And then we just finish solving. So x plus 6 times 4, which is 24, is equal to 18. Subtract 24 from both sides. That causes the 24 to zero out on the left side, leaving us with x is equal to 18 minus 24 is a negative 6. Box that up. Now we need to check our answer. So since we used equation number 2 to solve for the second variable, we need to check our answer in equation 1 because I already know it works for equation number 2. So we are going to plug it into equation number 2. Or equation number 1. So equation number 1, 2 instead of x, we're going to write negative 6 because we know that's what x is equal to. Minus 3 times y, but instead of y, we're going to put 4 because we know that's what y is equal to. Equals with a question mark, negative 24 because we're checking our answer. And now we just evaluate. 2 times negative 6 is negative 12. 3 times 4 is 12, so it's minus a positive 12. Is that really equal to negative 24? And yes, negative 12 minus 12 is equal to negative 24. So we know our answer is correct. And then so we write our final answer as a coordinate point, which is negative 6, 4. Remember, x always comes first. So that is the point where those two lines intersect at negative 6, 4. And that's our solution.